delicious. This porg has a pleasing shape, also some good squish factor.
Welcome to the Suggestion Box, a video series in which I suggest things to you. For example, pieces of media or various trains of thought that you might want to examine, re-examine, discover, or avoid. Today's episode is about Star Wars The Last Jedi, but more specifically it's about the little puffin-like creatures called porgs and why they matter. When The Last Jedi came out, it sparked a lot of conversation. Most of the responses, including my own, were breathlessly positive, but there was also some criticism from fans. Of course, much of this criticism has been overblown, and a few months ago an academic paper demonstrated that half of the negative comments about the film were actually written by bots, Russian trolls, or right-wing ideological extremists. But that's a topic for another day. One of the main points of contention about The Last Jedi was whether or not porgs, the bird-like inhabitants of the planet Octo, are delightfully irresistible or distractingly irrelevant. The central arguments for and against porgs seem to be they're cute and fun and I want one, versus they're cute but they only exist to sell children's toys and thus they represent the ways in which Star Wars is infected by blatant cynical consumerism. Now, of course, seeing little critters like porgs, or The Last Jedi's other newcomers like the intuitive crystalline Vultuses, the mistreated Fathiers, and the bizarre Thalassirans, shouldn't be particularly shocking in a Star Wars film. Throughout the original trilogy, strange animals show up all the time. In Star Wars, we encounter herbivorous banthas, and rugged dewbacks, and wild womp rats, scavenging Jawas, which are sentient, though C-3PO dismisses them as disgusting creatures. In The Empire Strikes Back, we are introduced to domesticated tauntauns, and the carnivorous wampa, and an asteroid-dwelling exogorth with a belly full of Minox. To cap it off, Return of the Jedi threw in a tribe of adorable, resourceful, and spiritual Ewoks, along with more monstrous additions like the dangerous Sarlacc and the fearsome Rancor, which is described by its creator Phil Tippett as
a cross between a bear and a potato.
In short, the Star Wars franchise is full of diverse animal life, both sentient and non-sentient, both friendly and ferocious. Sometimes these animals are largely independent from the saga's larger narrative, like the bogwings and other swamp creatures of Dagobah, and other times they are deeply personally involved, like Chewbacca, our favorite Wookiee from Kashyyyk. I would argue that there is more thematic weight to the biodiversity of the Star Wars films than initially meets the eye. In other words, I don't think it's really just about merchandising.
Merchandising! Where the real money from the movie is made.
Star Wars, at its core, is about the violence of imperialism, the dangers of complacency,
better her than me,
and the importance of hope.
You're my only hope.
Now, I know that last bit might sound trite, the importance of hope.
Rebellions are built on hope.
But Star Wars really digs into the details. It isn't just a surface-level sermon on why hope is essential, it's a nuanced exploration of the audacity, the beautiful absurdity, and the blood, sweat, and tears effort that goes into kindling and rekindling that hope. Time after time, mission after mission,
here we go again,
and generation after generation.
Each wonder by Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master.
And one of the most powerful ways in which Star Wars condemns the violence of imperialism, exposes the dangers of complacency, and explores the importance of hope is through its remarkable biodiversity. Even cute and cuddly teddy bears like the Ewoks, fearing for their lives while their town is overrun by giant metal murder machines. Or cute and wide-eyed bird puppies like the porgs, fearing for their lives while they try to take up shelter in the Millennium Falcon as it careens through Crate's Byzantine salt tunnels. They all illustrate the larger point, which is that we are all connected and we are all responsible.
We must face them. Fight them. All of us.
This means that the fight against evil fascists will necessarily affect everyone and everything. Or put another way, the galaxy is not just a setting, it is an ecosystem. This gets into the spiritual message of the Star Wars franchise, that, as Yoda says, there is a force that flows between you, me, the trees, the rocks. It is everywhere, and its energy surrounds us and binds us. Or as Rey observes during her eventual training with Luke, this balance and energy seems to connect life, death, warmth, cold, peace, violence. And indeed, the Force can be found even within all of us, as she discovers.
Inside me, that same Force.
This deep truth and connectedness, this life force of the universe, belongs to everyone. It's in the Ewoks. It's in the porgs. It's even in the Sarlacc. The Force can be found pulsing through every ecosystem, which is to say everything is really one ecosystem. This means that the Force is bigger than sentience or non-sentience. The Force is bigger than empires or rebellions. It is even bigger than Jedi or Sith. To say otherwise, as Luke argues, is vanity. The Force is even bigger than the iconic, seemingly inherent constructs of quote-unquote good or evil. So, why do the porgs matter? They matter because they are one way in which The Last Jedi drives its message home. The message of connectedness. The message that interpersonal relationality, interplanetary relationality, and even interspecies relationality has a significant part to play in the spiritual tapestry of the universe. Despite the Star Wars saga being an epic sci-fi fantasy space opera, this message is super important and relevant to our concerns, to our world. Maybe if we can learn to respect the entities, environments, creatures, and relationships around us a little more, maybe if we can learn to respect the inherent value in folk who don't look or live the way we do, even non-human folks, then the Force will be with us, too.